Hi there, Kimberly here with Knit for Brains. And so today we're going to be talking about just my crochet projects, just what I brought on the ship, and just what I'm working on now. So stay tuned. This is all about crochet. All right, well, so today is a sea day, and it's one of our last sea days. We're actually on day 20 of our 26-day cruise. It's not even really a pool day. It's gotten a little choppy, shall we say. I think probably choppy is a light term, would you say, Britt?
Yes.
Yes, he's over there in the background doing some video editing. I'll kind of show you what we're talking about. Take you for a tour a little bit here. And you'll kind of get an idea of what we mean by choppy. You're a strange man, Mr. Williams.
I'm loving it. I'm
So as you can see, this is kind of one of those stay inside, hunker down with a cup of tea, maybe a good movie, and a crochet day. A day at sea, kind of the same thing. So let's talk a little bit about, I'm not even going to call it the good, the bad, and the ugly of cruising. It's just some of the stuff that you might come into contact with. So we have about 3,000 people-ish on this ship. It's at capacity. As a matter of fact, we found out yesterday it's even a little above capacity. Not quite sure how they do that, but they did. And so with all those people on board, you can kind of expect that, some people are going to get the sniffles and some people are going to get sick. And you probably heard some stuff before about the COVID outbreaks on cruise ships and things like that. And, unfortunately, COVID still exists. Now, I'm not saying don't cruise. I'm just saying, because there's a lot of you out there that are interested, I think, in cruising and the cruising experience, what to look for, what to be wary of. So I'm just going to kind of touch on that just a little bit. Yes, I have something. Case in point. But knowing that the ship was going to be full, we were going to have a lot of sickies on board, I brought our own little first aid bag of ibuprofen, of Tylenol cold medicine, cough drops, everything we could possibly need should we get sick, so that we didn't have to try to go out and find a pharmacy or possibly a doctor unless it was absolutely necessary. Brought our little vitamins and things like that. And lo and behold, I caught this. Now, where I caught it from, I'm not sure. There's rumors that the Brit got me sick. He didn't get as sick as I did. And I didn't test because it's kind of like, test for COVID, because what are you going to do with the information if you know you had it? We've been vaccinated. I've gotten all my vaccinations. As a matter of fact, even the most recent booster. So I've got like 5 shots. So if in fact I did get it, I've done all the right things, taken all my medicines, and I've been sequestering myself into corners and in the room and staying away from people and things like that. And I'm definitely on the mend. I know I may not sound like it, but I'm definitely on the mend. So yes, these things can happen. But you know what? Anytime you're in a really large space with a lot of people, it's going to happen, right? So don't make this throw you off from cruising. Just take the necessary precautions. We still bring masks on board. And as a matter of fact, we will continue to bring masks on board. I think masks are really a brilliant idea. Even before COVID happened, people just didn't really think about it as much because, you had people just get sick. They're cold, they got coughs, whatever. They're touching, things, handles, rails, elevators, buttons, that kind of a thing. So just be sensible. Bring the appropriate hand sanitizers. Always wash your hands. There's always hand washing stations when you walk into the buffet area. There's always someone there telling you, please wash your hands. During COVID, it was a lot more restricted, like you must. And they were also, the servers were serving out the food to you as opposed to using other people's, like handles and that kind of stuff. So just be careful. Anyways, so that happened, but I'm feeling much better. The other thing, too, is that, we are on the high seas, and apparently we are in a hurricane. Yes?
No, the hurricane got downgraded to a tropical storm.
Ah, well, what else is happening? So we have a tropical storm and a cyclone.
No, the cyclone is the same as the hurricane. Cyclone in the southern hemisphere, hurricane in the northern hemisphere, same thing.
Uh-huh.
And then when they get weaker, they become a tropical storm.
What is this right now?
Tropical storm.
Okay. So we're just in the middle of a tropical storm. But it's pretty gnarly, and we've got some pretty big swells that are upwards of...
I'd say probably 6 to 10 meters.
You want to tell me what that is in my language?
Probably 18 to 30 feet.
18 to 30 foot waves. But it's outside. But here inside, it's nice and peaceful and quiet. Got nice music playing. Anyways, so they've closed the pools, the indoor and the outdoor. No one's really allowed out on the decks. We're supposed to be arriving in Auckland tomorrow. If you see me moving, that's just the movement of the ship. Personally, I don't suffer from motion sickness. But there's been a lot of people walking around with little patches behind their ears, and they seem to be doing fine. So maybe those patches are really, really effective. But, sometimes you do have to kind of think about that. But still, all in all, cruising is a phenomenal way to travel, and we're really enjoying ourselves. So, all of that being said, I will say one more thing. Because somebody asked where's the best place. If you're going to get a cabin on a ship, the best place for us that we enjoy is what we call midship. So that would be in the middle of the ship, in the middle of the decks as much as possible. Because if we're hitting some rough seas and the ship is doing this, it's going up, it's going down, and this, you're going to get a lot of movement at the front of the boat, a lot of movement at the back of the boat, but not a lot of movement as much in the middle, as well as the top deck and the bottom deck are going to feel the majority. So we are deck 9 in the middle of the ship. Like, we are point off of the elevators. So we are like in one of the best places that you can be, and you have to pay depending on where you want to be. So if you want a good place to get a room, I would suggest midship, one of the mid decks. So there's like 17 decks, and we're on deck 9. So right there, pretty much right there in that sweet spot. Okay, now let's talk about some crochet. I have officially finished everything that I could possibly be doing right now out of this book. So out of the 3 projects I brought on the ship to do, I only have one left. I'm going to get to that one. But before I do, I want to just show you the project. So once again, and I know you guys have been like, okay, I got the book and I'm loving it. And how does it go? Still loving the book. All right, so this is the book that we're working out of. It's called the Mix and Match Modern Crochet Blankets. It's by Esme Crick. She is out of England. Esme, if you are watching this, and if you do watch it, we love this book and we love the way it's written. Now, I will tell you, the one thing that I was not aware of in the beginning, and I don't know if it was really made clear, so if there's anything I have to say, it's that maybe that part wasn't as clear, but let me explain. So when I first made, this was the first strip that I made, and you guys know I made it the long way, right? All the way across, which is fine. The way that this book is designed with each one of these strips is that they are not to be made the horizontal way, but they are to be made vertical going that way. So I did my first 2 strips in the horizontal fashion, blah, blah, which is fine. Otherwise, I would have just done it across here, all the way across. They turned out fine. The problem is that it was a little bit difficult to determine the proper length that I needed, okay, doing it that way. Once I realized that, the rest of the strips that I made them vertical, and then you go out this way. So after I made these first 2 strips, and this one here is, again, this is called the Rigid Ripples, okay, and it's just a series of double crochets and triple crochets and singles, and you get this really nice wavy pattern with this really nice straight bottom. Then I did this one here, which was called the Alpine Stitch, I believe it is, which is just a series of drop down double crochets. Really like the way this one turned out. One of the simplest stitches of all, and yet it was one of my favorite the way it turned out. I really like that kind of a knobby look to it. And mine has a little bit of a slant, and I just like it. And it's one of the simplest ones of all of it that I did, but that's cool. All right. The next one that I did, you also saw this one. This is called Wavy for Days, or Waves for Days. And this one here I did in the vertical. So basically you go this way and then you just go across that way. It is easier when you do it vertically to determine the length of your blanket, as opposed to going all the way across and making sure that you have enough stitches, because if you don't, and then you start going back across the rows, then you kind of got yourself all lobbed up and you got to go back and redo it. So this way here, you just do the however wide you want the stitch to be, or this particular block to be, and then you just go all the way across. So it does make it a lot easier. All right. After that, I did the bobble stitch, which really loved this one. Loved how it came out. Took up a lot of yarn. This little piece here that I did took up a whole skein of the Schitt's Creek yarn. The Schitt's Creek yarn is 372 yards. That's quite a bit. So, obviously, I need to make more. This one is too short, and so what I had to do was just finish it off, and I had to order some more yarn from Lion Brand, which is coming, so it'll be home. It'll be there when I get home, and then I can finish this one. So these two are done. These guys are done. And then actually these three are done. So these guys. And then the Wave for Days, or Wavy for Days, is done. So that's good. I know that they're done because they all are the right length. These guys. I have to have more yarn to finish this guy. So this is going to be really nice and thick. And then what I did, I had remaining skeins left of the white, the yellow, and then the pale gray. So I went ahead and did that. Now again, I personally am following this particular pattern. Not because I don't have the creativity. As a matter of fact, I kind of feel a little limited because now I love this so much. I want to try these other patterns. But I'm making this for someone specific, my stepdaughter, who requested something in gray, and so I just thought I'm really going to follow along with this particular pattern right here. But once I'm done, I can't wait just to like tear into this and find some really cool. This is a great like a stash buster book that you can just find. Now what she does tell you when you do find one of the strips, she basically tells you how wide to make your vertical strip so that you really can see the pattern and make sure that you get enough repeats that you can actually find the pattern, that you can see the design of the pattern. And so it makes a lot of sense when I look at it that way. I just didn't understand it in the begining, but that's okay. So I'm going to have to really look in the beginning because perhaps it says something in there and I just missed it. But I was really thinking that it's supposed to go the horizontal way. So the next one that I did is called Tiny Dots, and this was part of the pattern as well. And because I really wanted to kind of keep the gray going, sorry, I probably just somebody that fell over. It's fine. It's all good. You know, weebles wobble, but they don't fall down, if you remember that. Anyways, so because I really wanted to keep the gray going and not bring in too much yellow, because she said she really wanted the yellow, or the gray rather, I went with this one. So this is called Tiny Dots, and it's super fun, really fun. And it's just a series of double crochets that you drop down, and then you've got the yellow, don't mind the noise there, and then you got the yellow going on in the background. Really nice dents. Okay, now even though so some of these strips are going to be thicker than the other ones, just by the sheer nature, like this one here has got it's basically the two yarns going together, but it's still going to be fine. It actually feels really good together. I think it's just that texture is going to give it really interesting design and so forth. So this one here is called Tiny Dots, and it's just a series, like I said, of double crochets that you drop down. All right, so it's just basically a pattern of you just chain 3 and skipping stitches, and then where you skip the stitch, you drop down, and then you do a double crochet down. Really interesting, though. I like this one a lot. Any one of these strips, you could just make a whole entire blanket if you wanted to, out of just this particular pattern, you know, this stitch or that stitch, which is something I also really love about this. So this is called the Tiny Dots. Now, once again, I ran out of yarn. Actually, I'll show you, this is the back side of it, which I'm not hating. I actually like the back side as well. This is the front side. So that's nice, so that, you know, if it turns over, it's got a nice pattern. Again, I ran out of yarn. This was a partial skein because, as you know, I used the gray and then the pale yellow. Now, I do have some of the pale yellow left here, and I didn't cut it off because, well, you know, I'm going to keep it going. So this one here is going to be next. So I've got this one here, then I've got this really nice bobble, and these are going to go in some formation. Then I've got the wavy for days, or the rigid ripple. So that's going to go like that. Then I've got the alpine stitch, which is going here. And then I've got the wavy. So it's going to kind of, if this makes sense, it's going to kind of have like these colors going along with it. And then the last one that I did, I had a little bit of the white left over, and I made the giant basket weave stitch. Now, I love basket weave. It just has this super cool, and this is all I had, so I had to buy more. This has this really cool, just a great pattern, and this particular stitch is so versatile. You could do towels, pot holders, blankets. Blankets are awesome. You can change up the colors, so you've got like reds and blues and green, and I've seen like light blues and dark blues and whites, and so you kind of have almost like a checkerboard look to it. So the giant basket weave, there's different variations of the basket weave depending on how many double crochets or how many double crochets you put into the pattern, right? So this is considered a giant basket weave, but this is just a series of double crochets, front post and then back post. So here you're doing 6 front post double crochets, and then you're doing 6 back post double crochets, 6 front, 6 back, and so forth. And then when you turn your work around, then you do the opposite. And you get this really, really cool pattern. It's one of my favorites to do just because it's really easy. You just have to make sure that you get your counts right so that you have like this one here, it shows at the beginning, it starts with only 3 down, but then you can see it goes into the 4s. So you just have to make sure that you got your 6 and your 6, or your 4s and your 4s, or whatever you're doing, to, you know, keep it going. And you just want to make sure you have even numbers. So if you're going to do 4s, you're going to do 4 across, or 6s, or 8s, or whatever you're going to do. I probably wouldn't really go as high as an 8. I would probably do like maybe a 4 or a 6 is probably going to be your best. And maybe you could do a 3. I suppose you could. Anyways, so that's the basket weave. And again, I'm going to have to make more. But this one here is going to go, I could have it probably go across this way. You could do it that way as well, but I'm going to have it go across this way and then go all the way across. So, loving this pattern. Bummed that I didn't get to finish it. I didn't think that I would, actually, but I have more ahead of me than I thought. But, you know, I can get this here, I was able to do in about hour and a half, 2 hours, so that wasn't too bad. This one here took me, there was a day when I quarantined myself, and I made this here, and I finished this one, I think. But it's just, yeah, I'm really, really a big fan of this book, of the way that it's laid out, the freedom that it gives you. And as a new crocheter, like I said, it gives you just a great handbook of so many different stitches that you can try and make. The instructions are really easy. So once again, and I'm not getting any kind of perks or, you know, kudos for this at all, but really a great book on a lot of different levels. So that's that one. So now, basically all my projects are done except for the one last one. And I'm really loving this. It's a lot of fun, and that is the assigned pooling yarn that you guys have seen me get. And yeah, it's just awesome. So this is how it's turning out, as you can see. And somebody said, you know, I never knew that you could do assigned pooling that wasn't knit. And I thought, gosh, you know, That's a good point. And I started looking it up, and I couldn't find an assigned knitting or an assigned pooling yarn that wasn't a knit pattern either. I did see one that was a kind of a weird crochet lacy thing. Didn't really speak to me. So I basically created this whole pattern for myself, and I love it. And the whole idea is that, you know, as I've told you guys, this is what the yarn looks like. Okay, so you wouldn't, it's kind of surprising where the yellow shows up. You wouldn't really think that it would, right? And this is 2 of 3 skeins. So I'm probably maybe a third of the way through this skein, and then I've got another one after this, but I've already finished the first one. So the idea is that it's just single crochets all along, and I wanted a single crochet because I wanted the denseness. I liked the denseness of the knit when I saw the pattern. I didn't like the stars as they came through because they left these weird little holes and stuff. So, but I really wanted the denseness because I wanted to be able to see the yarns coming through and to see the whole Starry Night. And then again, whenever I come up on a yellow, I see it coming in because it starts with a white and then it goes into the yellow. I know that I'm going to do it's about a 15 yarn over bobble is kind of what it is. Which means that you yarn over like 7 times because each time you yarn over there's like 2 strands on there, right? And that pretty much takes me through. Let me see if I can. So here's a strand of the yellow. Okay, so as I'm going along, you'll see how it kind of starts with a little bit of the white and then it rolls into the yellow, and then right about here is where I stop the bobble because that yarn over to pull through to finish out the bobble, and then the yarn, the next single crochet pretty much takes me right up to here. Okay, so it's going along really fast. It's fun in that you're just, you know, bobbing along, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, gotta do a bobble, and then you roll into the bobble. And it's funny because I'm doing this on the ship, and I have had so many people, I can't even tell you, come up and say, oh my gosh, I love what you're doing. You know, and then this is very cool. And for my purple lamb fiber people, I have to tell you, I've had a couple people come up to me and go, oh my God, that looks like the painting Starry Night. And I'm like, yes, it does. That's exactly what I was going with. That is the name of the yarn. That is the name of my shawl. And that's the look that I'm going with. So I could not be happier with the way that this is turning out. Right? It's dense, it's thick. It rolled up a little on the bottom, but I'm just going to, you know, block it when it's all done and it'll be fine. The other thing I wanted to tell you, because originally when I started doing this, my idea was that I was going to pop all of the bobbles through so they'd all be on the one side. And as I started doing it, I was like, that's going to make it look super busy on that one side and then not busy on the other. So I am letting it happen organically. As I turn the yarn, where a bobble comes up on one side, I'm letting it just come up. And when it comes up on the other side, I'm just letting it happen. And then when I'm all done, if I decide I need to, you know, pop a bobble through, then I'll do that. But I really like how it's, you know, kind of coming through even, as you can see on both sides. It's just so much fun. So I'm going to spend a lot of time on this today. And try to see how much I can get through this skein. So when we get to where we're going, it's very scary and treacherous looking out there, but such is cruising life. We have 3 days in New Zealand, and then we have another 3 days at sea, and then we end up in Sydney. So technically I've got today and then another 3 days. So I'm still hoping, and then a big flight home. I'm still hoping that I can have this thing finished or just about finished by the time we get home. But this is all I'm going to be working on now. Now, that being said, as soon as we hit Sydney, we're going to be in Sydney for 2 days. Then we're going to go to Adelaide for 3 or 4 days. Then we're going to go to Perth. So we're basically going through Australia clockwise. We're going Sydney, Adelaide, Perth, Rottnest Island. Can't wait to show you that one. Then we're flying all the way up to Port Douglas and the Great Barrier Reef at the top of the country, kind of towards the top. Spending 5 days up there, and then we're coming down to Brisbane and the Gold Coast, and we're spending like 3 or 4 days there. Then we're hitting Sydney to leave, and then we fly home. There's yarn stores in Sydney. There's also yarn stores in New Zealand. I just don't know how much access I'm going to have to them, but I'm certainly going to try to find them. So I might be, the idea at that point is I'll be buying more yarn and doing some projects, or at least, taking you into yarn stores and different things like that. So right now, this is all I'm working on. But again, hopefully when I get to Sydney, I'll have some more projects to start working with. I've got a great video of a super fun time that we had in Tahiti, the Brit and I. So I'll be posting that on our channel. But if you want to see more of our travel videos, you can just head over to Travels with Beauty and the Brit, and you can see everything we're doing there. But otherwise, a couple of the videos from this cruise that are just straight travel, I'm just going to go ahead and post them on this page so you guys can see that as well. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for hanging in there. Don't let this scare you from cruising. Cruising is still amazing. We've got 2 cruises planned. We actually planned one since we've been here on the ship. We got another one coming up in the spring. Cruising is awesome. Cruising is beautiful. You just have to take precautions as you do with any kind of travel plans as well, right? Don't get sick. And if you get seasick, well, get your medicine. All right. All right, you guys, thanks so much for watching. Tell your friends about us. Tell your friends what's going on. I'm still doing some tutorials as much as I can. And I'll be back soon with more progress on this one. And then hopefully some yarn stores are going to be coming up. Thanks so much for watching. This is Kimberly with Knit for Brains. And as always, I'll see you soon.